I'm originally from Bulgaria and I was competing in kickboxing and I fell in love with the sports. And I competed for a couple of years. I went to the sports academy and then I just decided to try and to start coaching people. As soon as I started coaching, I just really fell in love in the coaching process, just helping other people to achieve their goals, to help them and motivate them to reach their true potential. And from this moment, I knew this is what I wanted to pursue.
Something I learned with you that I wasn't that familiar was this thing called animal flow. For me, that was like a game changer because it's not only strength, it's mobility, right? And I think the longer we can keep our mobility and just like if we feel, like assuming like someone falls on the floor, the ability to get up, like that's very, very important. And it's crazy, right? Sometimes we feel that we have a problem, let's say like maybe on my hip, right? The problem is not in the hip, it's coming from a different part of the body.
And then that made me realize, I am really out of shape. I need to start doing, I just didn't like it. I feel weak. Another one was on the international tournament. That was my last competition. I was supposed to fight. That was the only competition that I said I wouldn't cut any weight. Before that, on all the competitions.
How was growing up in Bulgaria?
Over like traveling for competitions and training, just had a lot of memories. And the same way, going to go in your friend's house just for overnight and just hang out, and then they were gonna come in your house whenever.
But also like taking that leap of faith with you to leave home and start a new home in the US. I think that's it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode of TAOL podcast, a podcast that is trying to help everybody find their core values and align them with what they really want to become in life. And today we have a very interesting guest because what are we if we don't have our own body, right? Like we are ether, we are nothing, we are just a thought. And taking care of your body is very, very important. And I met this person who, like, I've been learning a lot from him in the past months, years since I started my journey in one fitness academy or like fitness club in Cary, North Carolina. I want to welcome one of the most popular trainers in this gym, Bobby. Bobby, welcome to TAOL podcast. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm really thankful that you accepted this project of like showing up and talking to me.
It's my pleasure.
And let's start with, like a lot of people, I think they know you because I know a lot of people who go to this particular gym, Lifetime, and even the ones I know who go to the one in Raleigh, they know you. And have you ever been in a Lifetime Cary or have you been moving around? Why are you so popular?
So at Lifetime Cary, I've been about 4 years. I've been working at that gym. So maybe to give you a little bit background, I first started my coaching. I'm originally from Bulgaria and I was competing in kickboxing and I fell in love with the sports. I got introduced to it by a friend. I joined a class. I really liked it. And then after a while, I just started competing. And I just set those goals that I wanted to achieve. And I competed for a couple of years. I went to the sports academy and then I just decided to try and to start coaching people. As soon as I started coaching, I just really fell in love in the coaching process, just helping other people to achieve their goals, to help them and motivate them to reach their true potential. And from this moment, I knew this is what I wanted to pursue. This is what I wanted to get better at and to learn more over the years. So then I moved in 2017, and initially I lived in Chicago, and then for 4 years I tried working in a couple of clubs. Actually, when we moved to the US, I didn't know a lot of English. So that was the challenging part. I wanted to coach people, but I really didn't. I was not able to communicate and to coach people. So that took me a while to learn English. It was a lot through watching YouTube videos and just watching YouTube videos, writing the phrases down. Then I try to repeat it, pronounce it the way it's pronounced in the video. And I did that for a couple of months. After I got more confident that I can start coaching people, I applied for a martial arts club where that was my first job. It was part-time. I was coaching only for group classes a week. And initially it was a lot much more demonstration than talking on my part. But after a while, I get more and more comfortable. So I started getting more comfortable cueing people how to correct their form, not just demonstration. And then I really enjoyed it. I was doing that part-time. I was working as a delivery driver at that time, but I decided this is one thing that I really want to do full-time. This is what I want to do. So I enrolled for a personal training certification. It took me about 8 months to complete it. I completed it. I started working in a personal training gym, very similar to the Lifetime that I'm working right now. And then I worked there for 2 years and a half. And then we moved here in North Carolina. I started working at this gym, and yeah, the rest is history. I've been there for 4 years. Met great people, and yeah.
And how is that certification, like the personal training? Because I think you're touching on very interesting topics. Because personal training, you're gonna make sure that the person is has the right form, like so that we don't injure ourselves when doing a specific movement. Does that also touch on the personal relationship, how you should approach clients, and what's the expectation? Like they touch on that communication person to person?
1 or 2 chapters. It's not very deep level, but yeah, how to build rapport with the clients and how to communicate, how to help them to set goals that are measurable and goals that are realistic. It does, but there's more additional continuing education that it's going to be more for behavioral change, nutritional. That's the like how to help people to motivate them over the time through their intrinsic motivation, how they can find what they want to change and what they can um Mm, what are the lifestyle changes that are specific for that person?
Yeah. And everybody comes to you with different purposes or different goals, right? Like they may want to work on maybe more mobility or getting stronger, fat loss, and or like different types of health. It's mostly health related, right? Like everybody's looking for some healthier lifestyle.
Yeah. I think more and more people start trying to want to improve their health and fitness, and yeah, where I think probably years ago was more uh like to build more muscle, to lose more body fat, which are all great things. But I think more and more people now, they want to just be healthier, have more longevity, enjoy time with their kids and do activities that they like, or with their grandkids, and to stay healthy for as long as possible. Yeah.
Something I learned with you that I wasn't that familiar was this thing called animal flow. For me, that was like a game changer because it's not only strength, it's mobility, right? And I think the longer we can keep our mobility and just like if we fell, like assuming like someone falls on the floor, the ability to get up, like that's very, very important. How did that come to your life? How did you learn this kind of moves? Was that from kickboxing?
So when I used to live in Chicago, so in the gym that I initially started, I was working full time, but it was a point that I started working part time in another gym. It was martial arts and strength and conditioning gym, and the owner, he was certified with Animal Flow. He was the first person that introduced me to Animal Flow. I've seen videos before, but I was never taught the proper technique of the movement. So he was the first person that introduced me to proper technique, and I just loved it. I liked it. I was practicing for a while. Then I decided to enroll for the certification. I took my level 1 certification. That was back in 2021. So 4 years ago. And yeah, it's a great workout because, as you said, challenges your mobility, stability as well. Some of the movements are a little more ballistic that can improve power and coordination. And yeah, it's something that Also, it's similar to martial arts. It's skill-based movements where you start from a certain point and then over time you can progress the skills and get to something more challenging over the time, which I really liked.
Mhm.
And
And between that and the other thing I've learned, I knew it was good, but I was never very close to that, is using the kettlebells, right? The
Mhm.
Russian. I don't even know if those are real, like really from Russia. I don't know if Russians like invented the kettlebells.
I think Pavel Tsatulin, his name, he is the founder of a kettlebell certification called Strong First. He was popularized the kettlebells in US,
Oh,
I think probably like 30 years ago. And a lot of like RKC, Russian kettlebell style training is another certification. So I think people used kettlebells before that, but not as, it wasn't as popular. So he was the person that popularized it. He is originally from Russia and then moved here in US.
I see.
Yeah, and become a personal trainer and yeah.
Yeah. There was a weird time a few months or years ago where like a lot of conflicts in Middle East happened. And I understand, like, I don't support any type of violence towards communities, right? Like I think that's a catastrophic event. But what it was very funny to me is that I heard some because there's a movement called Russian twist.
Yeah,
Some trainers started calling them a different name just for avoiding the term Russian,
yeah,
which to me was very interesting. That talks a lot. It talks a lot about many different things,
yeah.
but it was really funny. Now that we were talking about the kettlebells, and I remember someone when I was in Mexico told me those were called Russian dumbbells. That's how we
Oh, okay.
called them.
Interesting.
I thought like, wow, like are they really from Russia or why? But I didn't know.
Yeah.
The point that I was trying to make is those things are like a different animal. Like you need like proper technique for even for the wrist movement, right? Like,
Yeah, it's very technical. Looks simple at first glance, but it's pretty technical.
but very effective.
It's very effective, yeah. And feels very, kettlebells are designed that it feels very natural on the body in comparison to a dumbbell or a barbell. It's like, you can perform the movements that it's really challenges the body in the way it's supposed to move. And that's one of the big benefits of the kettlebell.
So from all this, what is what you love teaching the most, or what do you enjoy the most when you are with a customer? Like what brings you more satisfaction apart from like seeing them progressing on their goals? Like where do you get most of the fun? Because it's
Definitely, yeah. So over the years, ever since I moved in US, I've taken like different systems and certifications. So I was trying to learn as from the different systems and how I can help people the best. I think I use with clients. That really depends on whatever I feel like they enjoy the most. My goal is always to make sure the client enjoys the workouts because I think that's going to really help them with the most longevity of exercise. So I want them to learn something that they really enjoy. Even if they stop training with me, they're going to continue doing that. So they're always going to have the knowledge of something that they can do on their own and they can rely on this. I really enjoy kettlebell the training. I got introduced to it back in the club that I started my first personal training job in the club in Chicago. A lot of the coaches, they were certified with Strong First. And so they helped me to learn the technique, the proper progressions, and
Mhm.
how I can program it for clients. Also really so I've been taking for the last probably like 2 years, I've been taking different biomechanic courses that are focused more on how to help people to move better and reduce the risk of injuries. I enjoy that because very often, like clients that they experience any stiffness, let's say the shoulder or the hip or the knee, with by doing a couple of measurements just to see what it will be appropriate to focus on and then doing a couple of drills. Very often I see like people feel like immediate change the way they move, but also their pain levels decrease because always when we move better. So I'm not a physical therapist
Mhm.
to reduce any pains or aches, but very often when we move better, we experience less pain, and then our bodies are not stressing joints or muscles too much, and they move in the way they're supposed to. So I really like that because a lot of people really learn better what their body needs, and it just helps them to like even if I show them those drills and they do it, they start feeling better. And then after a while, they do it less frequently, or maybe they stop doing those drills for a while for any reason. Very often, if this comes back, they know, they have the knowledge what's probably is going to help them to feel better and move better as well.
And some of those are as easy as some breathing, right, in a specific position. I think that's how we started our sessions. You were checking the mobility on like some, I think it was on my elbows, shoulders, I don't remember.
Yeah. So for the most part, I would say 70 to 80% of people, I test the rib cage and the pelvis first, how their shoulders are moving as well as their hips. For the most part, just by inlining their rib cage and their hips in a good stack position and improving their ranges of motion, most people are going to feel much better. There's some exceptions. So for some people, if they had any foot or ankle injuries, that needs to be addressed. So very likely let's say, when I improve the ranges of motion of the hips or the shoulders, and I just have the person to walk, let's say 20 or 30 yards. It should be very short duration, literally like for 20 seconds. So if I've done a drill that it helped them to improve their range of the motion, after a little bit of walking, their ranges of motion, if I see that the improvement decreased, it's very often that the person's foot needs to be addressed because they lost what they gained during those exercises. So for those people, I would probably focus on some specific foot drills to improve their foot ability to create different shapes and to interact with the ground in the ways that it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But as I said, like probably like 70% of the people, they don't need it. If they do a little bit walking, there's changes, they stick, and then they can progress just by addressing the rib cage or the pelvis. There's other things that can also influence. So some people, if they have chronic neck pain, that can definitely affect how they're going to progress. Also tongue posture for some people, if they have like a tongue tie, so their tongue is not resting on the roof of the mouth, that can also affect their progress over time. So there's like, but those type of scenarios are very rare. So for the most part, like ribcage and pelvis are the most important, and like 70% of people see a good results just by addressing those areas.
And it's crazy, right? Sometimes we feel that we have a problem, let's say like maybe on my hip, right? But the problem is not in the hip, it's coming from a different part of the body.
Yeah, the
Everything is
body
connected.
body never works in isolation.
Yeah.
It's
And I think that's important for everybody like listening, watching, however they are consuming this, to realize that it's important to have good technique. And it's important to have someone who can tell us how to lift weights or how to move during specific workouts, because sometimes we are not aware that we are making things worse. And I've walked around the gym seeing so many, I mean, first of all, my technique is not the best for sure by any means, right?
But your technique is pretty good, I would say, but everyone can improve it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and it was because of that, like why I decided to get a professional coach. And it's crazy, like every single class you learn something new. And even I think I spent like so many years like doing like rows in the wrong way until you told me like you're getting engaged, like your lats, because that's where the work is coming from. And that was a game changer. Like I didn't know like it could be that difficult to just do like a few rows with the proper technique. So I think it's important for everybody to know that like you need the technique. If you have the chance to get a coach, and and you're gonna move better. And eventually, if you want to be like super fast and compete, like the technique is going to get you there too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not necessary to work with that coach for years, but probably just to invest in a couple of months to learn some of the movements, and those type of movements and techniques you can apply to. You're gonna understand it. You can apply it to different movements and exercises. Even if you change the exercise, the way the body is supposed to move, it will be the same. So it's very applicable, and you just invest for that time to learn the proper technique, and then they'll be helpful for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Yeah. Now I want to go back a little bit to the background. Like you started kickboxing in Bulgaria, right? Why you were like kickboxing looks cool to me.
So I tried a couple of different sports.
Mhm.
So as a kid, I was pretty active, and probably by fourth grade. After that, I stopped playing any sports. I started playing a lot of video games, and I was literally from very active, quite the opposite. I
Yeah.
wasn't going out of the house almost at all. I just were playing virtually with friends. We played Counter-Strike, if you're familiar.
Yeah.
But after a while, we got really into it. We started going to tournaments, and
Wow.
that made it very engaging and interesting for us. But probably when I was 13 to 14 years old, I was out with a friend, and I remember how it's very vivid how
Mhm.
I needed to run literally like 50 meters, and then I was so tired. I was just really breathing so heavily, and then that made me realize, yeah, I'm really out of shape. I need to start doing. I just didn't like it. I felt weak. I felt very like unconditioned. So
Mhm.
I didn't like it. So I started. I had some weights at home. I started lifting. Then I started going to a fitness with a friend. Then I tried wrestling for a while, but nothing that really interests me as much
Mhm.
to make me. Yeah, I wanna keep going. I want to improve. I want to get better at this. Until one point, one friend told me he just started doing boxing classes, and he said that he really enjoys it. So that seemed very interesting for me. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna come to one class, and
Yeah.
I wanted to give it a try. So I went to one class, and then I just fell in love with it. I just really liked it. I was really impressed by the other participants' skills, and
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to perform in the same way as them. And so I started going 3 times a week. After a while, I started doing something on my own as well, maybe 1 or 2 times, so like runs or
Mhm.
just doing some shadow boxing at home. And after a year and a half, I did my first tournament.
Oh, wow.
And so I won my first match. Second match, I lost. But I did not expect it to win the first one. I thought because you just fight against somebody who is experienced, and I was thinking, yeah, I will probably lose the first one. But uh, thankfully, I won, and that was encouraging.
Yeah.
I just helped me to realize, okay, I can do this. I can just gotta improve, and then
Mhm.
hopefully one day my first goal was to become a national champion. So I did 7 national tournaments, and then I got some second places, but never first. And until my 8th tournament, I took first place on national tournament for juniors. Next year on the same style, I took again first place. Then I started competing for adults, and that was like different story. It was much harder, more experienced people. The
Yeah.
power, the strength was different. I think, yeah, on my first national tournament for adults, I took third place. Then I got second place, and after that, yeah, I think the most I got was second place for adults until my last competition, which was an international tournament in
Mhm.
2014, which was in Southeast Europe, where I took first place.
Wow.
And that was my last competition. That was the point when I just started, like before this competition, I just started 1 month before that to coach one of the gyms. It was my second year in the sports academy. So I started coaching and I decided, okay, I want to take a break from competing. I want to focus on the coaching part right now. And yeah, I just love coaching people and then try to get as better as I can since then.
So you have had many fights, but on every fight, do you feel the same? Like, I'm trying to compare it, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe this doesn't make sense. But I used to play music, right?
Hmm.
And I did it for a long time. And every time we were getting in on the stage, it was the same adrenaline. It was the
Yeah.
same feeling. Was it the same for you?
It was, yeah. It was probably, yeah, probably the first 1 or 2 tournaments. It was something unfamiliar.
Mhm.
Maybe I was a little didn't know what to expect. But after that, I was still nervous to do it. Every time before a fight, I wouldn't sleep before that.
Yeah.
But I know probably the other person doesn't sleep as well. But yeah, that's probably why one of the things that kept me going for a while,
Yeah.
because I like this feeling. I had some fights that probably I got a little bit too confident and I
Mhm.
wasn't as nervous, but I didn't do as well. And I knew I needed this. I needed to be a little bit nervous
Mhm.
to make sure uh, I do my best, and so to not get overconfident.
Was there any point where you were like, "Oh God, this is getting really hard," like a specific fight that you were like, like this is hurting a lot, like I don't want to do it again.
Yeah, so probably I remember 2 or 3 fights were one of my hardest ones.
Mhm.
So second time I became a national champion. So the first day I won 2 fights, and that was actually the only competition my wife watched me. So
Mm.
she came, watched me. I had 2 fights, but both of them weren't as challenging. So I won both of those fights, and she said, "That's really fun. I'm gonna come tomorrow." So and then I really like it. But next day was like that was on the final. I
Mhm.
was against a person that was pretty experienced. During this fight, it just were exchanging punches the whole match, and he would almost knock me out. I'm almost going to knock him out, and it was like pretty intense. That was probably one of the most intense fights that I had, and it was in my hometown.
Oh.
Audience was like that was a little
Yeah.
additional energy that was giving me, and then a little additional. I wanted to, like in front of the audience of my hometown, I wanted to win and not disappoint them. So thankfully I won, but my wife said, "Yeah, that's my last time I'm ever gonna watch it." She just wanted the match to stop, and
Yeah.
she didn't really care who is going to win.
Yeah.
And that was one. Another one was on the international tournament. That was my last competition. I was supposed to fight. That was the only competition that I said I wouldn't cut any weight. Before that, on all the competitions, so that was my 15th tournament. So I
Mhm.
did 14 competitions where I cut a lot of weight for every single one of them. And it was like my stomach was messed up because I didn't have anyone to guide me with nutrition.
Yeah.
Everything was based on what I researched in the internet, and really restricting myself at the same time because I had competitions that I lost almost 20 pounds and I was skinny.
That's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of that was muscle, but yeah, really, that was the one that I said I wouldn't cut any weight. I just wanted to fight in my current weight, and normally everyone is gonna cut some weight because gonna fight against heavier fighters.
Mhm.
Because let's say if you're competing on 75 kilograms, you're gonna know the fighter cuts probably from 80 kilograms.
Yeah.
So I enrolled for the competition. I went, and nobody was on 75. So what I
Oh.
need to do, I need to jump up to 80 kilograms, which is 9 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
And so I did it. It was only one match, but the other guy was taller than me, more muscular. And it was one of my hardest fights. It was the similar scenario like the other fight. We were exchanging punches the whole fight. He almost knocked me out a couple of times, also knocked me out almost a couple of times. But that was the fight that I felt the strongest. I never felt that strong before because I never felt like my punches were that strong
Mhm.
before. Because I think one of the things that helped me because I really focus on my practice and how to get better without the distraction of okay, what I'm going to eat today, and then thinking about how I'm restricted for eating. And
Yeah.
then that takes a lot of your mental effort. So now when I really focus on the practice, really how to get better, how to get faster, more powerful, and I did really well. So when I started coaching in this club, after a while, most of the people they started people that they wanted to learn boxing, kickboxing,
Mhm.
but after a while, I had people that they wanted to compete, and so we went to 7 national tournaments. It was the 7th one right before I moved to US, but I never asked anyone to cut any weight because of that, because of my experience, and then I felt like it really helped me. Like if I probably up to 2-3 pounds, it's fine to cut, but not to that
9.
extreme point like
Yeah.
like mine. Yeah, like mine case. But it was like also learning experience how to um eventually how to share that experience later on with people that I coach with.
The weight divisions are very important, right? And I see that I follow boxing a lot. For the people listening and watching, there is a reason why there are weight divisions, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you can see like the smaller or the lighter weight divisions, they move faster. They are way faster compared to like the heavier. But when you go to the heavier, the punches are,
It's
they can kill you.
yeah, it's a big difference. Yeah,
Yeah.
the strength.
Now we talk about like how you started. I want to go a little bit further back in time.
Hmm.
And how was growing up in Bulgaria? Like, correct me if I'm saying something crazy, but Bulgaria has a frontier with Turkey.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's located in kind of a geopolitically speaking strategic position. It has like a lot of different cultural backgrounds there.
Yeah.
How is that? How is growing in Bulgaria?
So Bulgaria, it's very like diverse country in terms of nature.
Hmm.
Like no, we had a lot of mountains, but we were also on the Black Sea. The town that I grew up, it was probably like 80 kilometers from the Black Sea. But we also in the town that I grew up, we still had some mountains. So hiking was pretty popular, but it was very easy to go to the sea and go to the beach. So I would also it's a lot of like people with the like history. We have a lot of museums. Oldest country in Europe. It was founded in 681, and it has a lot of museums, fortresses, and it's like, and then also because of the mountains, the skiing is pretty popular, the hiking, mountain climbing, and all the different water sports on the sea as well.
How would you describe people from Bulgaria? Like they are warm. They are like more
Oh,
compared to the U.S. So
yeah.
how's that difference?
I think Bulgarian culture it's getting more and more influenced by the US culture.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some similarities definitely, but there's some differences. Like let's say, es- especially so the way I grew up,
Hmm.
which is not very common here. I'm not sure how it's in Mexico, but in Bulgaria, I grew up in a house. But in this house, on the first floor, it was three-floor
Hmm.
house, three floors in the house. On the first floor were my grandparents.
Ah,
Second floor were my grandparents with my aunt. And then on the third floor were my parents and
yeah,
I. So like the whole family is together in the
yeah,
whole house. And then like I feel like it's very family oriented because when I grew up, not as often right now, but like when I grew up, to see a lot of my friends, they were gonna live in the same way. So in the
yeah,
same house, they were gonna have their parents, but also their grandparents, which I don't see that's often, and that's the case here in US.
yeah,
That's probably one of the differences. I think before, especially when I used to live in Bulgaria, very often we were going to hang out with friends pretty much every day.
yeah,
No matter if you're working, I was in college, I was working a couple of jobs, part-time jobs, but at the same time, I was going out with friends pretty much every day.
yeah,
Where I don't know, like my wife and I, ever since we've been here, we're gonna go probably at most maybe once or twice a week with friends.
yeah,
So, and especially when we used to live in Chicago because the commute is so long, that was making it extra challenging. Where in Bulgaria, like in our hometown, you can get pretty much to everywhere within 10, 15 minutes
yeah.
driving. Or in the capital city, also the public transportation is very developed
Hmm.
and it's easy to go see friends.
It's around the same. Depends on the part of Mexico. I come from a very. I mean, we weren't wealthy by any means, so we were very family oriented in Mexico, and
Hmm.
yeah, our family lived in the same neighborhood. My grandfather had a big portion of land, and he divided that in four pieces for each son or daughter,
Hmm.
and they built there, right? So the family was right there. And
Yeah.
every single night we would have either like coffee or we had a like a very interesting tea. We used to have a cinnamon tea at
Mhm.
night because they didn't drink coffee. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the same with you guys, but we drink a lot of coffee even at night. I don't know if you do the same.
You drink a lot
Yeah,
of coffee or no? Yeah,
we
yeah,
do,
yeah.
and even at
We do.
night.
I have friends that they drink coffee throughout the day. I've never actually. I will take this back. Not never. For the most part, when I was in college and I was working all those different part-time jobs, when I
Mm,
was getting busy, yeah, I would drink coffee throughout the day a
yeah,
lot. But outside of this period, I was drinking coffee maybe only in the morning, at most maybe one at lunch, another cup. But yeah,
yeah,
but a lot of friends have that they drink coffee even at night.
yeah,
I think depends on some people metabolize caffeine much easier than others. Everyone is much more like individual and how the coffee affects them.
It's a
Yeah.
nightmare when you become intolerant to caffeine. And I mean, when you tolerate caffeine and you
Yeah.
drink a lot of coffee and like you stay normal, that's
Yeah.
annoying. Like, I think I reached that point that maybe some years back that I
Mhm.
drink a lot of coffee, but like it doesn't have any effect any longer. And
Yeah.
that's a nightmare. The friends thing, it's very interesting. You know, I remember when I was in Mexico, my friends used to show up at my house without any notice,
Mhm.
and that was fine.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun, and even it's so times change, right? And I think nowadays people prefer text over calls. But I grew up more, we still had the land phone, and every time someone was calling, you had to pick it up.
Yeah.
And we would even stop like doing house chores or any activity we were doing to pick up the phone because you didn't know if it could have been like an emergency or maybe someone calling just to say hi. Like you don't know what the purpose of the call was.
Yeah.
But we always use the phone, and we I think we used to communicate a lot more than nowadays here. And I don't think it's necessarily cultural. I think is or it's related to the country. I think it's also the time that we are experiencing where I think we all are busy and we
Yeah.
would rather look at a text message than taking a call.
Yeah.
At some point, like I feel that we are losing that connection. I really
Connection. Yeah.
miss my
I
friends
agree.
showing up. I do miss my friends. Do
Yeah.
you remember your best friend when you were growing up?
Yeah, depends on the period, but
Yeah.
yeah, I had a couple of different best friends. I think one of the closest relationships that I still stay in touch is when I was competing, and
Mhm.
some of my teammates as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a couple of my teammates that we started training together, but we also joined the team, the competitive team
Mhm.
together. So, yeah, over like traveling for competitions and training, just had a lot of memories. And the same way, I'm going to go in your friend's house just for overnight and
Yeah.
just hangouts, and then they were gonna come in your house
Yeah.
whenever
Mhm.
without any special reason. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think brought your friends and you closer? So you were on the same team, right?
Hmm.
But do you think it was because you were kind of exploring the world in the same way at the same time? Or,
Yeah.
yeah?
I think yeah, the similarities that
Mhm.
we wanted to achieve and very similar goals that we had, but also like outside of the sport as well. I think we had a lot of other things that were very similar. Just the way we see the world and like the way we interact with people.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I feel at the end, like what we are now, it's cool our background, all the stories that we had when we were growing up, like when we moved. Because I think people who are able, or not able, I mean, everybody's capable, but people who make the decision to leave their home country
Hmm.
and start something new from scratch in a different country, they have a very specific profile. And I always admire people who make that decision. It could be hard.
Yeah, yeah, definitely hard. For us, actually, it was something that not expected.
Mm,
Even we never planned it to
yeah.
move abroad. My wife and I, we never had intentions moving abroad. We had all those plans that we wanted to live in the capital. We were still students, and we had plans after we graduate, what we were going to do. But I don't think I've told you how I actually ended up here in US.
No.
So little backstory. So between my third and fourth year in college, with a really good friend of mine, he was also in the sports academy with cycling. We were roommates, and then we decided to come in US to apply for work and travel visa. A lot of
Oh.
students, I don't know if you have similar in Mexico. A lot of students from Bulgaria, they were gonna apply for this visa. I think it's 4 months, probably the visa. So you come during the summer,
Mhm.
you work in US, and then if you have a couple of weeks left, you can travel, and then you go
Mhm.
back. So we applied. First step was we needed to go to a job interview. We applied for a housekeeping job in Alaska.
That's a unique type of work.
So uh, we went to the interview. I didn't speak any English
Mm.
then. So I went to the interview. The person that was interviewing me was American,
Mhm.
but I couldn't answer and elaborate on the questions. I was
Mhm.
just answering yes, no, and that was it. And they said, yeah, you're not getting the job. They told me 1 month, there's going to be another interview 1 month later.
Mhm.
So I remember all the questions that they asked me. And somebody told me they ask you similar questions. Yeah. So I just wrote it down. I wrote the answers and memorized it. I went 1 month later, really prepared. They asked me exact the same questions. So I answered them and they gave me the job. But the next step was I needed to go to the embassy for the visa. So that was probably a month or 2 months after that. So I went to the embassy, but of course they asked me different questions. And again, I was answering yes or no without like without any details. And they gave me on my passport a stamp. No, they gave me a document that I'm potential immigrant and I'm not eligible to apply for another year.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they declined it. So, and what happened during this time though,
Uh-huh.
when I first, a few months back, before I even went to the embassy, like probably 5 or 6 months before that, I had a friend. I told him I'm planning next summer to go to US and travel and work in Alaska. So he told me, you know what? I'm just applying for green card lottery. And then I have other friends that I also am applying for them. If you want, I can apply for you as well. And then I said, yeah, sure. What do you need? And he told me you just need to go to a photographer. You need a picture. Send me this information, and I'm gonna apply it for you. And he was a really good friend of mine, so I sent him everything. He applied it for me, and then I just forgot about it. So the interview in the embassy was in April the following year.
Mhm.
In May, early May, he calls me one night and he tells me, you won a green card. And he applied for 10 people. And I was the only one that won. Initially, it was like 10 p.m. at night. And I was thinking, no, you're joking. And he says, I'll send you a screenshot. So he sent me the screenshot. And I saw it. And I couldn't believe, like, this point, like, all the things that I was planning for the future, they changed.
Yeah.
So then I proposed to my dating for over 4 years, but
Mhm.
we weren't married. So I knew if I wanted to come in US, I wouldn't come on my own and
Yeah.
leave the relationship that we had. Talk with her. I told her if we're gonna do it, we'll do it together.
Nice.
And if she wants. So after a long discussion, because she never wanted to leave Bulgaria, but we were discussing it for a while, and then we decided, okay, that's opportunity. We can always come, and if we don't like it, we're gonna go back in Bulgaria. So we decided to give it a try. So we got married. Then we went to the embassy, and they gave us the green cards. And then we moved in US.
Wow. So they were like, no, you can't work for I mean, in the US, but you can come over and live here.
Yeah.
Wow, it's so crazy, right? Like, so you were like basically, it was like a shot in the dark, like let's see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it was like, I think it's like one lifetime opportunity,
Yeah.
and you just gotta try it. Even like initially, I was thinking I was not realizing what I'm getting into it, so I was excited. But in the moment we came, and then like right before we moved in US, so I knew I need to learn English. I went to classes right before we moved, so probably a few weeks before our flight. I read one. So no, the good thing was we had a 1 full year. Like after I was told that I won a green card, you need to send the documents in the next 3 or 4 months. Then you wait until they review them, and then my interview was next year of March. So I was told in May that I won it. Next year in March, I was told that I won. Then I had another 6 months after the interview to enter US. And so all worked well because it was our last year in college. And then right after we graduated, we were able to move here. But during all that time, I knew, okay, I'm coming in US. I got to learn English. I got to do better. I always had English ever since kindergarten.
Yeah.
But I just said, yeah, I'm not good in languages. I didn't feel like it's something that's really is my strength.
Yeah.
And I never put enough effort. But at this point, I said, yeah, I need to come. If I'm coming, I need to start studying more persistently. I took some classes, and right before we moved, I read one book for kids, which was said like it's 1,000 words. And so I was so confident that I'm going to be able to communicate. until we arrived on the airport, and we just asked some simple questions, and we couldn't understand anything, and we just realized, yeah, that will be challenging.
I don't think anybody can be fully prepared to move to a different country with a different language. It's crazy. Like I took classes when I was in Mexico, but
Mhm.
of course, like you get the accent, right?
Yeah,
And when you come here, like someone speaking Spanish teaching English is going to help a little, but it
yeah,
doesn't help compared to like you facing the real challenge and
yeah,
showing up and even the different accents, right? Like when you talk to people from New York, they sound different compared to the people in the South.
yeah, and getting used to it
Yeah.
takes, yeah, it takes a while.
And even with that, oh, I learned English in a British school.
Okay.
So when I was working with a bank in Mexico, and one of the interviews was in English,
Yeah.
and the person interviewing me was in New York, and but I was speaking like I was taught like if I was speaking to a British person,
Yeah.
so I was pronouncing like the T like instead of water, I
So,
would say water.
yeah.
And they would laugh. They were laughing in the interview because they,
Yeah.
they were like, okay, like a Mexican guy, like trying to speak like a British person.
This is how you learn it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the same
It's a,
happened to me when I was at the airport. Here, when I landed, I was very confident. Like, oh my god, I studied like for like 3 years, and like I watch all the Modern Family episodes without subtitles. And I was so proud. I was very confident. And then the guy was telling me like what I had to sign, and I couldn't understand a word. And I was like,
so,
wow, I think
yeah.
I didn't know what I was getting into.
So, yeah. It gets, yeah, because also in Bulgaria you learn British English. It's
Yeah.
not American English. It was probably like after 1 year we were in US,
Mhm.
and then I thought I speak better English for 1 year. I learned some. So I was speaking, I can't remember with what company, but I was speaking over the phone. And I needed to spell something. And then I spell the thing that I need to, and then until I got to Z, but I said Z. And
Yeah.
then she goes, "I'm sorry, what?" And I said, "Z." And then she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Z is zebra." And she goes, "Oh, do you mean Z?" And then I realized, like, I've been here for 1 year and I still don't know the alphabet. So yeah, until that point, I didn't know that it said Z here in US.
But at
So
this
yeah,
point, I think like most of the people, maybe I'm wrong, but I would assume like a lot of people know what Z means. Like even
so
I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. But yeah,
it's
like that change is it's very interesting. So we're getting really close to closing remarks, Bobby. But let me just ask you like one more question. Like from all your journey, first of all, what other activities do you enjoy doing?
activities outside of work
Yeah.
or yeah. My free time I just like hanging out with my wife. We both really like going to concerts, comedy clubs, traveling. I like also reading books.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's also the things that I enjoy doing in my free time.
Yeah. Is there someone that, and this is a question I often ask people who thankfully decide to show up and then come to the podcast. Is there someone, a character, a writer, or a person in your circle that you admire or that has had a big positive influence in your life?
Probably my wife.
Mhm.
Yeah. Two of the things that really helped me to grow as a person are when I started training kickboxing and my wife.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that I think really changed my life, and I'm proud of it in a good, positive way.
Yeah. I don't know your wife, but I mean, for someone to see a loved one fighting,
After,
like that's hard. I mean, I can imagine what she was going through.
yeah.
But also like taking that leap of faith with you to leave home and start a new home in the US. I think
Mhm.
that says a lot,
Mm.
right? So kudos, and I'm happy for you and your wife to have built this great relationship.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, Bobby, for I think you are a very unique coach, a very unique trainer.
Thank you so much. That means a lot for me.
And anything that you're doing, whatever you're doing, I think you're doing it right. Because I feel that you have the knowledge, but more than the knowledge, you have that personal approach, right? I can feel, I can sense that you're truly compromised with what you're doing, and that your priority is the person, right? Like the person accomplishing their goals. And I think people who that possess that ability are just like a few. And I think you're a great trainer because of that.
Thank you so much. That's always my goal. My goal is the more my clients achieve, the more I achieve as well. So if they achieve what they want to, that's what it brings me satisfaction, and it makes me want to continue get better and do things better. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for saying that. That means a lot for me.
Just saying the truth,
Yeah,
Bobby. Just saying
yeah.
the truth. Any message for the people watching or listening that you have? Any recommendation? Any joke?
No thing that I can think of. Yeah, say like really try to like yeah, just try to find things that you really enjoy. Like for me, I think I always like because life it can get very busy and we can get distracted with a lot of different tasks and goals. But I think also it's a good to stop, take a moment and really think what are the things that are priority in your life
Hmm.
and what are the things that truly matter for yourself, and think for those things and always try to focus on those things that are the closest to your heart and pursue
Yeah.
them.
And let life surprise you because maybe you are applying for a housekeeping job in Alaska and maybe that wasn't your destiny. Maybe your destiny was to go to a different city that is
Yeah.
a little bit more friendly in terms of living because I can't imagine how living in Alaska is.
Yeah. Yeah, even if you face any setbacks, just have a faith and in the future you'll see the things are gonna come in the right place. Yeah. That's
Exactly.
yeah.
Thanks so much, Bobby. Thank you
Thank you.
for being here. This is an episode of TAOL podcast, and I appreciate everybody being here. And see you next time.